It's my final few days in Madeira, and this island has surprised me greatly. She's stunningly beautiful, yet not boastful or flashy. She has gently opened her arms and received me with warmth, and made me see clearly why she was so loved by the Gibraltarians who sought refuge here. I believe I may have found myself the perfect spot, overlooking Funchal and the surrounding hillsides. And what more could I ask for? I've got about 20 lizards keeping me company. I can honestly say I've never seen so many lizards before in my life as I have during my time in Madeira. There's a species endemic here, and it's like they vary in color. You've got the very brown ones and then the dark green verging on black. But they're incredibly inquisitive and curious. And everybody knows that you always keep your bag tightly zipped or you'll be taking one home with you. Curral das Freiras, Nuns Valley, is located at the heart of the island. It's a deep cauldron surrounded by spectacular and very steep mountains. Now, many believe it's down to volcanic activity, but more recent theories put it down to erosion. In 1566, pirates attacked Funchal. So the nuns from Santa Clara Convent escaped into the mountains, and they made this their home. They sought refuge here, bringing their convent treasures with them. Now, I can understand why they came here. This tiny village is incredibly isolated. In fact, most of its inhabitants still live off what they can produce themselves from their land and what they cultivate. And one of those products is chestnuts. I'm in chestnut heaven. Look at this array of delicacies, all cooked with chestnut. On the 1st of November, they celebrate the Chestnut Festival here, and that's where you'll see an even greater abundance of different types of chestnut soups and chestnut cooked in every meal. But at the moment, I've got a great selection of cakes, bread, and of course, these are the way we see the chestnuts back home. But here they're roasted on a hot pan and covered in salt. It works really nicely with salt. That would be lovely with a bit or two. The chestnut bread and cake was heavenly. Chestnuts are seriously underrated.
I was on my way. I was on my way to tell you it's no good. I was on my way.
Before leaving Madeira, there was one place I desperately wanted to visit: Lazaretto. There was something about this desolate-looking building that spoke to me. It felt lonely and sad, ghostly almost. Yet as I walked around, I could almost hear the voices of children, singing, laughing, voices of mothers calling out to them, and hushed voices, feverishly whispering prayers and pleading for news from back home.
pleased me.
This crumbling building behind me is Lazaretto. It was home to the inhabitants of Catalan Bay. They were brought here directly, landing on the shores behind me, and it appears that they never ventured too far. They educated their children here, in the traditions of the community and in their faith. Now, whether they were prohibited to leave or they chose not to, I don't know. But one thing I do know is that this imposed exile further strengthened the Catalan Bay community, and they rose to the challenge magnificently, building for themselves, creating a home away from home. Madeira's flora and fauna truly are a sight to behold, and this is celebrated in an abundant riot of colour and diversity at the Botanical Gardens.
I remember us alone, waiting for the light to go. Don't you feel that hunger I've got?
Whilst doing my research back home before coming to Madeira, everybody told me that the person I had to speak to was Marjorie Hall. So I rang her up and she kindly invited me round to her house for tea. And she said that here in Madeira, I needed to meet up with Muriel Ribeiro, one of her lifelong friends.
Yes.
Muriel, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Well, it is one for me too.
So you were childhood friends, and this is where the friendship began?
Yes.
And she was here for 4 years?
She was a girl guide.
She was a girl guide?
And I was a girl guide, an older girl guide than she was.
I understand the Gibraltarian young girls.
Full of life. Full of life. You can't imagine. Completely different to the Portuguese, you know. Portuguese.
Why was it such a
Different.
breath of fresh air and so different? Yes.
Well, I think they were different because one was Portuguese and the others had a mixture of Spanish. And that's why they got the verbenas in and all that. It's fantastic. They had a wonderful time, I tell you.
Nobody would have thought there was the war years.
No, nobody would think of it at all.
Now, this was something that was quite new to Madeira, wasn't
Yes,
it? These
absolutely.
type of festivities and perhaps the freedom that the women
different,
had.
Completely different. The life was completely changed because the girl had boyfriends, but they never went out with the boys. But they did now when the Gibraltar girls were here. Oh, it was a wonderful time, tell you that.
So would it be fair to say that the 4 years that the Gibraltarians spent here
Oh, it was fantastic.
was a little bit of a holiday, perhaps?
It was fantastic because they changed the whole atmosphere of Madeira, completely changed. You know, at that time, the girls used to speak to the boys in their houses at the window. They looked out the window to speak to them. That's finished when they came because they went out with the boys and that. It was fantastic.
I understand that the young women also used to enjoy walking up and down the promenade in full
Now that
shower.
was in town.
In town, yes.
Yes, they'd like to meet their boyfriends.
That's where they'd check each other out then.
Yes.
And I understand the Lido was also very popular.
Swimming.
For
yes.
swimming.
Yes.
It's been wonderful to hear Muriel's side of the story, because we always hear the Gibraltarian side, you know, obviously that's the one we know. But it's been really wonderful to hear how the Gibraltarians impacted
Oh yes,
the Madeirans.
Very good, very nice.
And how with Muriel and Marjorie it's resulted in a lifelong friendship. And that is a blessing.
Oh, and I forget to tell you, I was a great friend of the son of the Jewish man.
Did you have a rabbi here?
Yes, in Funchal,
Yes.
a little bit out, he lived there.
Were these they
Yeah,
set up a synagogue?
yeah.
Were these the Benaims?
Yes, and I was invited there for dinner, fantastic dinners, you know. It was very nice to meet them.
Yes. I imagine that they might have been one of the first Jewish families to have
Yes.
been in Madeira.
Yes, but we have a family in Madeira, Jewish too.
Just one family?
One family,
Yes.
but we have it still here.
Yeah. Well, Muriel, thank you ever so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
And I shall be sure to pass on your fondest regards
Thank you very much to my dear
to Marjorie,
friend.
of course, to your dear friend. This is the famous Lido, a haunt of the Gibraltarians, a place they'd come to relax, enjoy, and have a swim in the sea. And I'm sure it was a great meeting point for young lovers, a place to check out the boys and be checked out in return. It's undergone a major refurbishment, so it's completely unrecognizable from how it was in the 1940s. It's all children's swimming pools and water slides now. It's a child's paradise. Lidos like this can be found all around the island, as they're the main access points into the sea. So if you're after a long, lazy day on a sandy beach, that involves a 2-hour ferry ride to Porto Santo. I have to admit, it's incredibly tempting, but I'm going to save myself for somewhere a little bit special. I head to Porto Moniz, home to the seawater volcanic rock pools that are naturally filled by the ocean's high tide, which offer a dramatic setting for an evening swim.
Wir tragen Sterne, wir tragen Herzen, wir wollen lachen und wollen scherzen, dann wieder weinen und traurig scheinen. So muss das sein, so wird das sein, so muss das sein, so wird das sein, so muss das sein, so wird das sein, so muss das sein, so wird das sein.